Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching My Media Prime Television. This is the 6:30 p.m. edition of news, this 25th day of April 2022. My name is Fon Quinter. The news is coming to you live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. And the news starts now. The people of Ndian Division, southwest region of Cameroon, met in Mundemba for the All-Ndian conference, which was aimed at dissecting the problems plaguing the division, as well as seek tangible solutions. Kathleen Kongwe tells us more about the All-Ndian conference. Her report.
For over 5 years now, the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon have been home to the Anglophone crisis, which has left over 3,910 fatalities, while there are over 573,900 internally displaced persons in the two regions, which has as well slowed down developments. On this note, the people of Ndian Division have met in Mundemba for the first ever Ndian Peace and Development Conference. Among the objectives is to restore peace, restart construction works on the Kumba-Ikondo-Titi Road, and the restoration of palm oil, CDC, and other agro-industries.
You will agree with me that for the past 5 or 6 years, as the case may be, since this crisis started, it has been difficult. Sons and daughters of this division in one place with this kind of number that it's in. And so the initiative of coming up with the All-Ndian conference, the ANC, for development cities, I think that is a very wonderful idea.
The host, Mayor Samuel Osang of the Mundemba municipality, welcomed all, highlighting the tourism potential on Ndian, such as the Korob National Park, the maritime area of the division, and more. Meantime, the representative of the Prime Minister, Balungeli Confiance Ebune, viewed the conference as a new and bright beginning for Ndian, while appreciating the Ndian youth for their initiative at the conference. He noted that the conference was a true purveyor of the peace and development that all want to see in their division.
You all sons and daughters of Ndian Division can contribute in accelerating this peace and development by joining a network and groups out there and educating them on the merits of the efforts of government. Belonging in this network and dissuading them from financing bloodshed, insecurity, discord back home instead of embracing the dispensation provided by government.
The Ndian Peace and Development Conference, which unfolded on Friday to Saturday, April 23, 2022, was also an opportunity for the sons and daughters of the community to showcase their culture through dance.
Our pupils and students in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, officially resumed school for the third term of the 2021-2022 academic year this Monday. Our Center Regional Correspondent Kolelum visited some schools in Yaoundé this morning, and attendance was quite encouraging. Her report.
Classes have resumed for the third final term in schools in the nation's capital this Monday, April 25th. After a few weeks of rest at home, pupils and students are back in class to warm their benches, determined to make it through so they can be promoted to the next class. Visiting some of these schools in the capital city, classes effectively began at 8 a.m. Upon arrival in one of these schools, school administrators checked students' bags to identify those who didn't respect school rules. The head teachers cautioned the administration to keep a close eye on discipline during this short and decisive term. Classes will be on for just 2 or 3 weeks in the total of 6 weeks that students will be in school before the exam is set, according to some of these school administrators.
Pour le constater, élèves et enseignants ont répondu présents. Et les cours ont effectivement commencé.
As you could see, pupils and teachers have effectively commenced and studies resumed. As you all saw during the assembly, the school term is short, and you all know it's a very short term. Therefore, People should study hard because soon we'll begin evaluation in general, so no one should be at rest. Let everyone get down to work, pupils, teachers and parents all together.
Il faut que tout le monde se mette au travail, enseignants, élèves et parents.
Meanwhile, pupils who did not perform well during the second term are bent on working extremely hard to improve on their grades this term so as to be promoted to the new class.
It is good to study and write. I will work so hard.
Le premier jour de la rentrée du troisième trimestre, nous sommes arrivés, nous avons fait le rassemblement le matin.
This first day of the school, we did the national anthem. Then we went to class. Pupils answered present, and we began with some school activities. Pupils are present, though we witnessed some absences. However, the absence is not too bad.
Nous avons constaté un nombre d'absents, mais ce n'est pas très grave.
Worth noting, authorities in most schools we visited say 95 to 100% of the academic year syllabus was covered during the first and second terms, but the third term is very short and most determinant reason why laxity will not.
This weekend has been disastrous on some major national highways in Cameroon as a series of accidents were recorded. In this report, Dolingonde takes us to the West region and the Lithora region to find out the cause of these accidents. Our report.
The Banjul-Bafoussam axis in the west region of Cameroon, a 16-meter stretch of road, has recorded a horrific accident scene early Saturday morning. This mini public transporter leaves its highway course to end the race in this valley. Expressed by the driver, this is as a result of brake failure, though victims have sustained a few injuries, plus the damaged vehicle. Fortunately, no human lives have been lost. Away from the West region, a similar incident takes place in the Douala 3 municipality, precisely at Yossa, where a truck belonging to the Kaji Beer Brewery Company somersaulted, creating an open drinking feast for the locals, as both the young and the old could be seen jumping at the scene, not to rescue possible victims, but to grab their own quota of the national cake. A feast of the millennium it was. Unfortunately, no human casualties have been recorded. With the occurrence of these two roadside damages, it is important to state here that this is happening same time the Ministry of Transport is on a nationwide campaign to reduce tragedies and accidents on the highway.
As a step towards protecting the earth, every individual around the world has been challenged to be disciplined in waste management, pollution and climate change, as well as planting a tree for nature's recycling. Eileen Sama with details.
Week-long activities to commemorate World Earth Day culminated last Friday with global cleanup campaigns to remove billions of pieces of trash from neighborhoods, beaches, rivers, lakes, trails and parks, reducing waste and plastic pollution, improving habitats and preventing harm to wildlife and humans. Members of the Association for Community Awareness, ASCOA, an NGO passionate with protecting the earth, is running a project to clean the coastline. The CEO of ASCOA highlighted the dangers of poor care of the environment.
Joining the international community is very important for us to take care of our environment, because our environment gives us a lot of food and most we benefit from the environment. So I think it is very important when we want to talk about environment, everybody needs to involve to make sure we protect the environment. The environment gives us a lot of benefit, and if we don't protect the environment, it's going to be a harm to us and our future generation. A lot of persons, they litter the environment without even knowing, and I think it is not good. But we have the habit of not taking care of our community our environment when it comes to keeping it clean. But I want to believe that if we take some measures, we put some measures together in our personal self, because we need to discipline ourselves, we will be able to take care of the environment. Now, when it comes to the coastline, which we focus on cleaning the coastline, I think the ocean provides a lot of benefits to humanity. That is why we focus on cleaning the coastline.
It is worth noting that this year's edition of World Earth Day, commemorated on the 22nd of April, is happening at a time when Cameroon is being badly hit by the cholera epidemic stemming from the poor waste management, especially along coastlines. Ebot Mary, health coordinator of ASCOA, explains.
In environments where sewage is waste from humans, be it feces, be it urine, when it leaks into our bodies of water. So let's just consider that, you have somebody who is suffering from cholera in a particular community, and he or she's not properly disposing his waste, or fluids that come out of the body, maybe the vomit stools, the diarrhea stool, and this happens to get into water. It's an avenue for destruction, because let's imagine that it gets into water where, people are drinking. It brings back this bacteria to the rest of the community. And at the end of the day, you see that the infection is spreading. So it is very important that we contain, fluids from cholera patients, if we have them in our houses, before we take them to the hospital.
Nonetheless, as a step towards protecting the earth, every individual around the world has been challenged to be disciplined in waste management, pollution, and climate change, as well as planting a tree for nature's recycling.
Coming up next, the Northwest Regional Assembly has presented the region's economic development plan to the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon. He was in the region over the weekend for a diplomatic visit, as Northwest correspondent Charles Akeba tells us.
The Northwest Regional Assembly has presented the region's economic development plan to the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon on a diplomatic visit to the Northwest region April 22, 2022. Visiting the Northwest Regional Assembly, His Excellency Richard Ballet was received by the President of the Northwest Regional Assembly, Professor Angwafo III Fru, and was decorated with the Northwest Traditional Regalia Togo. While at the Northwest Regional Assembly, the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, in a working session with the institution's members, via projection through her consultants, presented the region's economic development plan and the Northwest Regional Assembly complex to the Canadian High Commissioner, who has promised to help when possible.
That you'll see going forward in Canada the evolution of structures which may be similar to those which have been established in Canada. So thank you again for the welcome and for the honor which you have bestowed upon me. I couldn't be made to feel more a part of the fabric of Northwest society than in this way. So.
We hope the visit be a turning point in the region in her quest for sustainable, peaceful development. To the diplomat, it is only by visiting and engaging with local stakeholders that they can understand the situation on the ground.
For partners like Canada, the next step is that we need to go and digest that plan, to look to see if there are areas of complementarity, to share it with the Canadian private sector who are active here in Cameroon, and then see what happens.
His Excellency Richard Ballet, Canadian High Commissioner, encouraged the government of Cameroon to leave no stone unturned to solve the Anglophone crisis plaguing the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country. Canada, an experience of bilingualism, Cameroon with the use of French and English. He advised Cameroonians to copy the example of Canada and profit of the Grand Dialogue and the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism there.
On to health, Cameroon today joins the international community to commemorate World Malaria Day. The day has been set aside by the World Health Organization to raise awareness and recognize global efforts to control malaria. Audrey Zaza spoke with a medical doctor. This is her report.
Harness innovation to reduce malaria disease burden and save lives. It is the theme of the 15th edition of the World Malaria Day, celebrated annually on April 25, a day set aside by the World Health Organization to recognize global efforts put in place to control the disease. Figures from the Cameroon Public Health Ministry during the March Stop Malaria campaign launch revealed that at least 6 million infections and 4,000 deaths from malaria are recorded yearly in Cameroon. In 2021, malaria accounted for 30% of consultations compared to 29% in 2019, with women and children under 5 being the most vulnerable. But what causes an upsurge in malaria apart from the disturbances in access to care linked to the COVID-19 pandemic as stipulated by the World Health Organization?
The first thing to do is have the conscience. When we are giving, for example, a mosquito net, some people use the mosquito net for another thing. We are giving the mosquito net for them to put in our house, to not beat by an female mosquito.
Overcoming the deadly borne disease will require preventive measures.
To overcome malaria in Cameroon, we started to doing the prevention. The first thing to do is the prevention. We cannot overcome, you cannot fight against malaria if you are not doing the prevention. To walk around our house, to wear the clothes we cannot permit to female mosquito to beat ourselves.
According to Dr. Wanji, health centers, with the help of the government, are engaged in the free treatment of children aged 0 to 5 years.
It's very important to know that our government have the possibility, give the possibility of every health center, every hospital to take care of children under or between 0 to 5 year old to be free. The treatment is free.
Meanwhile, actors involved in the fight against the disease have been organizing sensitization campaigns and roundtable discussions to educate the population on the need to use available tools to curb malaria within the communities.
Still on health, World Meningitis Day was observed on Sunday, April 24, to help raise awareness about the disease, paying attention to its causes, signs and symptoms, as well as ways to reduce the estimated 2.5 million cases recorded worldwide. Bokengo Wadi completes the story.
Meningitis is a severe health condition that can be life-threatening for toddlers, children, and adults.
Meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. The meninges is a protective membrane that covers the brain and the spinal cord against infection.
Bearing 3 types, being bacterial, fungal, and viral, the disease possesses signs and symptoms which may look like, however, bearing different severity borne by the type, which include
virus, we have bacteria, and then we have fungi. Then the virus is the most common cause of meningitis, while the bacteria is the second most common cause of meningitis, and then the fungi is a rare cause of meningitis. Talking about the signs and symptoms of meningitis, they include: 1, there's a sudden high temperature. Next, there's photophobia. Next, there's confusion. There's nausea and vomiting. There's excessive sleepiness. The difficulties in waking up from bed.
Worthy of note is the fact that the disease is highly preventable.
The best way to prevent meningitis is by taking the recommended dose or the recommended vaccine of meningitis. And also you maintain a healthy habit, like sleeping, like taking enough rest, and then drinking enough fluid.
On World Meningitis Day, health bodies, organization, personnel as well as caregivers encourages persons suffering with meningitis to prioritize healthy lifestyle habits by quitting alcohol, smoking, engaging in physical exercises, as well as consume a healthy diet so as to reduce the estimated 250,000 deaths yearly borne by meningitis worldwide.
Still ahead, Orange Cameroon has gifted the University of Yaoundé Toussoua with a modern digital center. This gesture is one of its kind and a move by Orange Cameroon to facilitate the teaching and learning process in universities across the country. Cordell Lung once again.
Orange Cameroon is creating the future with youth as she has inaugurated the Orange Digital Center Club of the University of Yaoundé Toussoua, a digital center dedicated to students of the University of Yaoundé too for innovation and digital transformation. Since digitalization is a means to problem solving, concept maps, storytelling, gamification, role-playing, peer education, and much higher frequency opportunities to students than those learning under the traditional format, Orange Cameroon, by offering such a golden gift to students of the University of Yaoundé too, is a laudable initiative.
Firstly, it's a privilege for me, a student in the University of Yaoundé too, to be in Orange Digital Center. The benefit that I have here is it gives me many opportunities, like formation in the cloud, how to accompany my project, because I am a student in economic and management in the university.
During the inauguration ceremony at the university campus, Orange Cameroon handed over the power of digitalization via the digital center to the rectorate of the university, who expressed a lot of gratitude and highlighted on how this digital center will be highly valued and maintained.
Digital center is a plus. As you know, digitalization, innovation are main tools for the development of the modern university. Now we are developing e-learning in our university, and this tool is very important for us, but also to ameliorate the skills of our students. Our students, to be competitive today, has to acquire competencies in terms of innovation, in terms of digitalization.
Worth noting, this is the first initiative of Orange Cameroon offering a gift of this magnitude to a university in the country, with other universities in the likes of the University of Boya and others to follow suit.
News out of Cameroon, at least 110 people have died following an explosion of an illegal refinery in southern Nigeria, while 168 others have died in Sudan's war-ravaged Darfur region. These and more in the following report. Death toll from an explosion of an illegal refinery in southern Nigeria has risen to over 100 after more people died from their injuries. The blast occurred late Friday at the illegal site between the southern oil states of River and Imo. According to reports from the National Emergency Management Agency, death toll is now 110 from 80 as more people have succumbed to injuries. At the scene of the incident, burnt-out vehicles and jerrycans used to scoop up stolen crude and petroleum products were seen, an indication that it was indeed disastrous. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari described the incident on Sunday as a catastrophe and national disaster, thereby urging security and intelligence agencies to intensify the clampdown on illegal refineries in the country. On another sad one, tribal clashes between Arabs in Sudan war-ravaged Darfur region yesterday killed 168 people, described as one of the deadliest bouts of violence in the country in recent years. The fighting in West Darfur province comes as Sudan has been plunged into turmoil since a military coup last year. Early Sunday, large numbers of people armed with heavy weapons launched a major attack on clinic, forcing and looting properties, a scene that lasted for several hours, forcing people to flee their homes. Darfur has seen bouts of deadly fighting between rival tribes in recent months as the country remains marred in a wider crisis following the October coup. In December, Human Rights Watch urged the United Nations to deploy monitors to Darfur, saying the departure of UN MIT caused a gap in monitoring the abuses fueled by impunity for atrocities committed in the region. To conclude, Idris Diallo has been elected as head of the Ivorian Football Federation in an election in the capital Yamoussoukro, where former striker Didier Drogba was eliminated in the first round. Mr. Diallo, a senior FIF official in the 2000s, received 63 votes against 61 for his rival. In the second round, Sori Diabate, another executive for the institution. In the first round, the two men had largely overtaken Didier Drogba, who had secured just 21 votes out of 130. Drogba has been criticized in recent weeks for not being conversant with local soccer and for having made a minimal campaign without sufficiently campaigning on the ground. The new president of the institution, a former leader of the largest national club, ASEC Mimosas, from 1984 to 1998, will have the task of restoring Ivorian soccer back to its initial. And French President Emmanuel Macron has been re-elected for a second term of office as President of France, defeating Marine Le Pen. Following the announcement of the election results yesterday, anti-Macron citizens staged demonstrations in several parts of the country. Join Gong has details.
Thousands of French citizens gathered underneath the Eiffel Tower last night, celebrating Emmanuel Macron, the first French president to be re-elected in over 20 years. Emmanuel Macron unexpectedly beat his opponent Marine Le Pen by a wide margin of 16%, grabbing a total of 58.2%, leaving Marine Le Pen with only 41.8%. While Macron supporters gathered, celebrating his re-election, Marine Le Pen followers were devastated by the unprecedented underscoring for a far-right candidate. For a moment, they took a break from frustrations regarding domestic issues in France like inflation. They booed the results. Demonstrators took to the streets of several cities in protest against Macron's win over Marine Le Pen. In Paris, angry protesters clashed with police in violent demonstrations. Amidst the ongoing tensions in Europe, Marine Le Pen is believed to have lost following her past praises for Russian President Vladimir Putin. In her speech last night following her defeat, she promised not to abandon the French people. But it is, however, the third time they have rejected her politics, this time choosing a leader whose election slogan was "All Together." President Macron has the challenge to reunite France and continue his peace-making policies with other nations, Cameroon inclusive.
Join Gong's report concludes the 6:30 p.m. edition of News on My Media Prime Television. Coming up next is Prime Hour with Lasha Kingsley and his guest. My name is Fon Quinter. Meet tomorrow for another edition of News in and out of the country. Till then, have a blessed evening in the company of more programs on the African Eye. Bye.